This video, I'm going to show how I painted this little Figment figurine that you could have got at the Epcot Arts Festival. I believe that year was maybe like 2020 or 2019 or something like that. So it was like a few years ago. You were able to get it. You had to like complete some sort of thing, and then this was one of the prizes at the end. And they also had Mickey and Minnie, similar, that they were inside the frames. The figure itself, it's not the same resin as like a resin figure. It's more like borderline ceramic, I would say, but it's not exactly plaster either. So some sort of resin, but more like breakable resin, I guess. So for paints, I'm not going to use what's included. Instead, I'm going to use the Vallejo model color. The separate purple, they actually did a collaboration with Nocturna, but those I think are discontinued. And then as far as like water brush cleaning, I got this thing from Temu, but it's not that great because it kind of leaks all over the place, as you can see. And then those are the brushes that I'm using, and I'm actually going to put it on a base, and these are slate bases that I also got from Temu. You can see like they're inconsistent with the thickness. Some are thicker, some are thinner. So I'm just going to put it on the base so that way it's more like hands off when I'm painting. And I'm going to be using nitrile gloves, and that's all that, so I'm not wearing any sort of respirator or a mask or anything like that, just the gloves. I'm going to use this super glue, the Gorilla super glue. This specific version had that you could use it like this, or you could actually get on screws and there's a brush, but I feel like the brush you just take, it's too much. So again, by doing this, I'm not going to be touching the piece while I'm painting it, so because my hands are going to be gripping the slate base instead. And this glue, like, it dries really fast. And then I'm also going to be priming with the Liquitex acrylic gesso, and I just use that for everything. So I thin it with water, and the consistency is that it's kind of runny but not too runny, because if it's too thin it's going to scratch off. So it's hard to explain really what the right consistency is. You just kind of have to like practice with it to know. If it's too thick, when it dries, there's gonna be like air bubbles trapped underneath. And if it's too thin, it won't be as strong. It'll be too weak. And so right now I'm just like coating the whole thing. Usually I do like from top to bottom so it could flow down. And I'm just doing that. This is sped up a little bit, so this one's not sped up like this. So basically now I am clearing any primer that pooled, because if I don't clear it, then it's gonna have like air bubbles when it dries, because the gesso tensile, it pulls into itself. And I'm just, like clearing all these areas. So anywhere that it pooled, I want to take another brush and kind of wipe it away. And I don't want to disturb the other areas, because once it starts to dry, if I touch it with a brush, I'm going to introduce like a brush stroke. So we don't want that. All right, so now I'm painting. So actually the primer has dried for 24 hours. So now I'm just painting. And you could kind of see that actually, as far as besides primer, I did no other prep work. I didn't sand anything. I didn't clear anything, any like seam lines, because I was thinking I just wasn't really feeling like it. That's the real reason. But as far as just looking at it face on, it looked fine. There was maybe a little little something or other at one of the corner frames, but I feel like I just didn't feel like sanding this model, doing any putty work, anything. This was just basically like, let me paint it. I didn't think, so usually when I do, when I get up to the point that I'm using like the oil paints for the shading, I usually put the whole model together. So in this case, it's all together already. But the way that the frame, it actually, I felt like it was distracting me painting, because I feel like I was focusing on the frame and not really the figure. It was like a weird thing. I don't know. It was probably just me though. So I'm doing the Vallejo paint. I started with the purple and I'm thinning it with water. There is a thinner also, and I usually use that, but lately I've just been using water. And yeah, I either wear the gloves or I don't. In this segment, I'm not wearing the gloves. And again, like no other health precautions that I'm doing right now. So technically, like, I could be sitting in like a common living space. I could be painting. Everyone else could be walking around doing other things. I really like that I'm able to paint and not like sequester myself and use like, say, like the airbrush, because like if I was using an airbrush, then I would have to wear the respirator. I would have to you know, I can't comfortably airbrush and then like my husband's sitting next to me or the kids. So in this way, I really like hand brushing over other manner to paint. And as far as like, I don't use lacquer based paints, I don't use like enamel based, these are just acrylic. And I feel like the finish is sufficiently fine to that. There's no need to use any other stuff with more toxicity, but that could just be me. I mean, like, you know, your models, you know, you do the finish that you're looking for, but for me, I'm more like, I want it to look good, but then I also want to do safety wise too. So for these paints, it's just a lot of thin coats, just go over it over and over again. That way there's like zero brush strokes or like very minimal brush strokes that you don't really notice them. And then I usually do like one color at a time. So I took a break from the purple and now I'm doing like the pink. And you want to use like the smallest brush for like, you know, like the areas that blend into each other, because otherwise you're going to be doing like a lot of back and forth. Like I could have used a larger brush, but then the pink probably would have went into the purple more, so I switched to the smaller brush. And if you could see, I'm kind of flipping the model every which way to kind of get into all the angles. This is sped up about like I think like 500% I did. So I think the full video was maybe like over 3 hours. And again, like I'm not doing any shading right now here. I was planning to do the shading with like the water mixable oils, but that's not done right now. So the model right now is just with the acrylic paint unshaded on my desk until I could find the time to add some shading. It's nice that Disney came out with these. I don't know if they did them last year. There was like definitely 2 different versions over the years, maybe a 3rd version, I'm not sure. I like the one with the picture frame the best, so I got that one. I think there's also one that Figment's holding like a paint can or a paintbrush. And it was a similar thing. It was given out during the Festival of the Arts, and from what I understand, they weren't sold in the stores. You had to, it was like a prize that you were given at the end. So I got mine from eBay. The year that I think I went in 2019. I don't remember them having these things, but I could be wrong, because sometimes, like, when you're there, they sell out of the merchandise anyway, even though, like, you're actually there, and then you'll find it on eBay later. I think I paid, I don't remember exactly. It was either 20 or like 15, something like that. I think that's a fair price for this. I wasn't bothered by paying that much. I think, you know, any higher, like if it was like 50, 100, I feel like maybe that's a little bit too much. But I mean, then again, there's not too many models of Figment that you could paint, so, you know, it depends if it's worth it for you. So now I'm moving on to the horns, so any of the, like, the yellow parts. I don't have too many, like, orange and yellows in my paints. I should probably buy more. So I'm using a Golden brand, gold paint. And, usually I would do, like, a base of yellow underneath and then put that over it, because it's very light, and, it's just, so it's like, you know, you use less of, like, the gold paint, and you're just doing like a top coat over, but in this case I'm just painting it over the white, so I'm doing a few more coats of the gold to completely cover. Yeah, so I added the yellow now, but I think I'm doing the eyes. And so what I really should have did is I should have put the yellow where the horns were and the wings were as well, and then just kind of did one little coat of the gold. Yellow is considered a difficult color to work with, I guess because it's so light, so you want to be careful, because sometimes you might not get sufficient coverage, so, like, if I put purple more over the eyes, it might be harder to cover. Usually the Vallejo white is very good with coverage, so if I went over any of the lighter areas with a darker color paint, I would paint over it with white and then put the lighter color on top. So the eyes, I'm just doing black, like how, like, no color. I think that's the character model, how he is. So, you can see I'm adding the lighter white, the lighter yellow, already on top of the gold, but I really should have put the yellow first, because, like, you know, like that gold paint, it's, I don't, like, more expensive, whatever, so I shouldn't waste it more, but, I mean, I guess it's not too expensive, but it's definitely more expensive than, the Vallejo yellow. Okay, so again, like with the black too, like, I did a lighter coat, and then once it dried, then I put the darker coat, or like a second coat to make it look darker. So now I'm painting the picture frame. So I had, I put too much of the gold color, on the paint palette, so I kind of just mixed it all together, so it has like a slight metallic, brown. But it's kind of like all the colors like muddled together. But that could be like the color of a picture frame, so I just went with it. Yeah, so now I have to find the time to do some shading, but for me, like what works best for me is that I do the base colors in the acrylic and then shade with the water mixable oils. Shading with acrylics, it takes me much more effort to do it. Sometimes I do it well, sometimes not. So in this case, I just wanted to put down the base colors without doing any shading. So here's the completed model, and again, it's just all like a base color, no shading, and I'm planning to shade at a later date, but right now, this is how it is.